up? It's your boy Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. My main man Justin Henry, arch rivals. You already know the drill. Special edition going down today because Justin, I promised Justin that I would give him a chance. Listen, I don't play for free. I give him a chance to go against me. You know what I'm saying? We'll get the dollar right, the dollar amount right, because I don't play for free, right? But I will mock draft for free. So normally I go into a huddle. I go into a tent around June, late after the draft, early May, late May. I huddle up. I start to put the strategy together. Then boom, 4th of July, let's go, and we take it from there. You know what I'm saying? But haven't done any mock drafts yet, but my good brother Justin Henry, we're going to do one today, and I'm going to start to put the pieces together. My first real look at the board this year.
You know, Corey, this is the difference. You know, I'm a soldier. I go through the whole season. I do mock draft now, later, right after the season. It don't matter. Preparation never stops. Yeah. That's what happens when you're a fantasy god. You know what I'm saying?
Amateur hour.
You got to put it together. But I'm excited to get through this, man. And, you know, a little pre-draft stuff, right? There's a lot of things, a lot of values that are going to change after the draft. Yes. It's good to kind of see where values are and how they change, though, too, because sometimes the draft is an overreaction to players' values. So somebody will take a starting spot, but there'll be another piece that comes in for competition. And I think we start to let go of some of those values that we held on to before. So I'm interested to see how this thing goes, man.
You know, there's a guy who's played a lot of national competitions. There's always a debate, a discussion about when you should have your draft. A lot of times you see some of these big national tournaments, the winners of these teams be teams that draft as early as June sometime. So, one thing about drafting early is the value is there if you know what you're doing. Obviously, you open yourself up to injury risk in training camp and preseason, but position battles change, whatever the case may be. But 12-team PPR, right, is what we're going to do here. We start a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flex spots. Kicker defense is whatever you want to be right here. So 12-team mock draft. I'm the guest. Right, I'll say that I'm the guest. You know what I'm saying? So I will pick first. Now I'm picking your spot, and you're picking my spot. This is correct, right?
Let's do it. You gonna pick my spot, and I got a spot for you. I want to see how you draft out of a certain position. So actually, I'm gonna start off, man. I'm gonna give you, since you on the show. You know what I mean? We on the channel. We gonna, you know what I mean? You in the draft with J-Hand. I gotta put you to the test.
Yeah, please.
Let's see what you do at that 10 spot.
All right, so I'm coming out the 10th spot. All right. I'm going to put you in the spot you're rarely in, number 1. So you'll be the first. So that's something new for you, being the first spot in the draft, you know, or the first spot of anything, to be honest. And I'll go ahead and I'll take spot number 10, and we get ready to rock and roll. I want to see how you value, you know, these positions and these players, and I want to see what you want to do at 1-1 overall. So let's go ahead and start the draft and kick it off, my friend.
All right, at the first spot, man, especially in a PPR league, the thing I value the most is who has the highest upside with the highest floor. And that player, for me, 1,000% every single time in these drafts right now is going to be my guy, Justin Jefferson. I know he's a receiver. Most people go running back in this position. But for me, I'm going to go get the best player that I think is in the draft, and that's Justin Jefferson with the highest projected point total, in my opinion.
All right, so that's a good spot right there. So we start off the first after Henry takes his namesake, Justin Henry. You see a couple of running backs go with Christian McCaffrey and Austin Eckler. Eckler very interesting this year. Obviously requesting that trade from the Chargers could change his value. Jamar Chase, who's a player I like a lot, goes off the board as wide receiver number 2. Travis Kelce in the middle of the first is not something I'm going to do. Jonathan Taylor goes 6. Last year's 1-1. Cooper Kupp, the player I was thinking about at 110. The King, Derrick Henry, interesting to see where he's going to be at. Devontae Adams in my pick on the board right there. And I am going to go with the freak wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins. I'm going to go ahead and select Tyreek Hill with my pick right there. So Tyreek Hill is where I go to start things off. I take a wide receiver as well. Come back on that turn. And listen, there's a lot of – I definitely want to get a back right here, right? So let me pull up the running back list. And when I look at these,
you went Tyreek Hill, man. He just dropped the news that he's going to be out for 3. He's only trying to play 3 years, man. You think we get 3 elite years out of Tyreek Hill, or I mean, Corey, before we get back into this draft, Tyreek Hill, obviously, right? He talked about 3 years max. He said he wants to retire at the end of his contract. Do you think that we get 3 prime years out of Tyreek Hill, or do you think he's going to start to fall off here?
Speed is too much of a problem. His speed is an elite level speed. You know what I'm saying? We've seen how coaches scheme him. They put defenses around him. Even when he came back with Tua last year, you still saw how dangerous of a player he was. So I think as long as he's out there and healthy, he is going to be a player that I really don't see us having no problem with. Now, let me ask you this. I'm not really too familiar with the sleeper settings. How do you toggle to the different positions? Because I want to look at the running back position right now.
Yeah, as we're going across the board, obviously, you can see down here at the bottom, there's an all button. There's a quarterback button at the top of the projections there. So you can filter through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and flex. And then you can also put players on your watch list too. So if you're trying to mock draft at home, you're watching the show, you want to do a mock draft, Sleeper is one of the better apps that I've seen that allow you to do this. You can go to your watch list of players. So I can put like CeeDee Lamb and Najee Harris on my watch list. And those are the players that show up here on my watch list. So for me, this is a cool tool. I've loved to use Sleeper over the years.
All right, there you go right there. So I'm going to go a little bit off the board right here. I love players like Nick Chubb, one of my all-time favorite fantasy assets. Josh Jacobs was fabulous in that offense out there last year. Don't know if he's going to be able. I don't want to buy a player coming off of a historic type season like that. Najee Harris is mainly a volume guy. I'm going to go a little bit further down the board, and I'm going to take my man Travis Etienne. This Jacksonville Jaguar offense can be elite this year. So, and I want a piece of it, and I think Etienne is the best player on the team.
ETN and CeeDee Lamb, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Najee Harris, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, as you mentioned just a minute ago, Jalen Waddle, and Joe Mixon there to round up that second round. And I'm going to finish it off here. A lot of times I tend to go with upside, right? Upside is the biggest thing for me. I just talked about it. Upside, and then also the security of the floor. And when I take a look at, some of the players that are here left, I don't really love the board. I don't. And I know I got back-to-back picks. So for me, when we got 2 slots, we got 2 flex spots, wide receiver, tight end. I'm going to go ahead and lock in a guy, T. Higgins, who, if anything happens to Jamar Chase, he ends up being a wide receiver 1. I'm going to lock him in here with my first pick here in this wraparound. And I'm starting to look at the names, the Breece Halls of the world. I'm thinking this might be running back territory. A guy that's probably going to start to go around this area is Tony Pollard. I'm looking at him, but I'm probably not going to go that range. I have a feeling by the time drafts start, this will be about Tony Pollard range. But I'm going to continue to rock with the wide receivers and a guy that's for sure a PPR asset. I normally don't take him this early, but he's sitting here for me at the top of the third round. Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Interesting that you go St. Brown right there. Jameson Williams Jameson Williams likely to get in the full, hopeful to get in the full season this year from Jameson Williams. You don't think he steps up and becomes that alpha dog, or you think Amon-Ra St. Brown? And this is the wide receiver 3 spot right here that you have him in, so it's good for your roster, but you go heavy early. Explain the strategy. How do you like it so far? You got a excellent 3 wide receivers, but it's going to be interesting to see how your running backs turn out.
A lot of people when you look across this board right now, there's nothing but running backs that have been taken, which for me, that means there's going to be a run on receivers here. I feel like I have 3 elite receivers. And yes, Amon-Ra St. Brown doesn't have the same sky high potential as a Justin Jefferson or a T. Higgins within the season, but he's also going to be, he's one of Jared Goff's favorite targets. So even with Jameson Williams coming in, say he gets 60 to 70 catches, he's 1,000 to 1,200 yards. There's still a lot of room in that offense for Amon-Ra St. Brown to work. TJ Hawkinson's out the fold. DJ Chark is out the fold. So to me, I'm looking at it as an opportunity for him to just have a high floor baseline, give me a little bit of stability where I have the upside from the other players.
Interesting stuff right there. Now, coming back and looking at, I'm getting ready to hop on the board right here so you can unpause this, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to select another wide receiver right here. I do believe that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to select another wide receiver right here, get my second one because I think it's going to kind of dry up after that. And I'll go with DK. I'll go with DK Metcalf. And then we come back on this wrap right here. And this is something I think is going to be interesting this season. As we come back around here, I'm going to take Justin Fields. And normally I'm not a guy that would go for quarterbacks early, but I think this year is a year where we're going to see that a lot of these quarterbacks have very good value. And when Fields was getting it done last year, this guy was running for over 100 yards a game. I think players like See, I would worry about Hurts because his whole entire offense is going to be different this year. A lot of that coaching staff is going. So I want a discount on Hurts, but I would pay up for Fields.
I'm not mad at that. Fields is a guy that can score 40 points any given game too. So for me, when I see that, I'm all over Justin Fields. This is about the range where quarterbacks are starting to go. But in one quarterback leagues, which this is, Fields is super flex. Obviously, he's going to go a lot earlier. I still got a few quarterbacks I like in a 12-team league though.
No doubt.
I'm gonna go again. I always go best player available to me, and this is a guy. When I look at him, he's got massive upside within the offense, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes. Give me Garrett Wilson here.
Yeah, I think this is 4 wide receivers off the back. I do like the Garrett Wilson pick right there. So you're set up at wide receivers. Now you're sitting up there and you're rolling and you're looking at I'm taking best available, but you got to put some running backs on this team, brother.
Some running backs on this team, or I can continue the trend and just get elite talent. Kyle Pitts, man, is a name. He's the 5th tight end coming off the board. This is elite upside here in the 5th round. I think that was the perfect time to get him.
Who's going to throw the football to him this year?
Desmond Ridder.
And well, he don't play good when he has somebody good throwing the football to him. That right there is a reach. I disagree. Listen, this Kyle Pitts thing ain't working. I'm not sure what everybody's talking about.
I mean, he had 1,000 yards his rookie year. He got hurt last year. I don't know how you can say it's not working. We got to see what it looks like. It's his 3rd year in the league, and tight ends typically take 3 to 4 years in order to get acclimated.
But you're going to draft him You drafted him in this spot 3 or 4 years ahead of when he should be drafted in this spot.
No, I'm drafting him right now in this spot because you can take your chances and you can be scared, but in fantasy you get one team and you got to get players that you like and you think have upside. Typically, you got to be a year early on players as well. I think I'm a year early on Pitts, but it's the right year.
I've never really been a big David Montgomery guy, but I like that Detroit Lion offense. DeAndre Swift is a player that we're not going to get anywhere near the kind of production that we want out of DeAndre Swift. So I think Montgomery has a chance to step in right there. And I'm going to go back to back and running back. Listen, we don't know what the situation is going to be, but it feel pretty good that Dameon Pierce is going to have a job to himself. So we'll come out right there and go Pierce. So right now, Tyreek Hill and DK Metcalf are the wide receivers, but we're loaded with ATN, Montgomery, and Pierce at running back and Fields at running quarterback.
I do not mind that. I don't, David Montgomery, Dameon Pierce, I think you know how I feel about them. They're hard workers. That's about it. But there's not a whole lot of upside with Dameon Pierce. I'm not a big Dameon Pierce guy at all, even getting him now. All right, and at the running back position, I was kind of waiting. So you were asking me a little bit about running backs, but I like guys that have upside, right? And this might be a little bit early for him, but the first one I'm going to take is Rachaad White. They're talking about putting him in a 3-down role. I think Rachaad White's going to be an excellent pick this year, and he's probably going to be a steal in fantasy drafts. And then the other running back I'm going to take is you mentioned David Montgomery, new role. Devin Singletary is also on a new team. So that leaves the building, the running back room, wide open for this Buffalo Bills team. James Cook, I think, has potential to ascend in a very major way.
When we get to the spot right here where the fantasy exec, there you go. Give me a pause right here. Calvin Ridley, interesting, right? Goes with the 5th pick of the 6th round. This is a very good value right here. This won't stand up. When we get to August, where do you see Ridley going?
I kind of see him going in the same spot because this Jacksonville team has a receiver they just paid $21 million a year in Christian Kirk, who played phenomenal last year.
Calvin Ridley is more talented than him.
He hasn't seen a football field in 2 years. So for me, when I look at it, he hasn't seen a football field in 2 years. How are we expected to put him just right over Christian Kirk? He's got some work to do in order to earn that role.
Interesting. All right, so now we come back. Now I am on the board once again. I want to hop in here and grab that wide receiver 3. And I like this one right here. Matter of fact, I think it's a couple spots. I think I'm gonna go Brandon Cooks right here.
You really feeling Cooks?
WR3. Yeah, it's my WR3. Get him out there, Dallas Cowboys addition from the offseason.
You a little bit down the board there, bruh. A little too far down the board there.
Why you say that?
Brandon Cooks, man, what's he gonna be this year? He's gonna be 805. Like Brandon Cooks is. You think he still got it? Like
Brandon Cooks still got it. Brandon Cooks, he was hitting in Houston the past couple of years, catching the ball from people like Davis Mills. You know what I'm saying? Now you get him in the correct system. I think he could make some noise, but interesting. Like, listen, it could work out, but I think as a WR, as a wide receiver 3, I think that's not a problem. You know what? And then I think I want to go back to that Jacksonville Jaguar offense, and I'm going to take at my tight end position. I'm going to hop on here and grab Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is a guy who has been a dude who let fantasy owners down for years and years and years and years. Finally came through last season. I don't think I'm paying last year's price. Obviously, the price did go up some, but I like my tight end value over your tight end value.
Of course you do. Of course you do. But I love my tight end value because I think Kyle Pitts is to the moon, baby. And he has a tremendous amount of upside. Now, I really want to take Treylon Burks here, but I'm going to avoid him because I think there's a receiver in a better spot right now with a little bit more upside. I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney here as my fifth receiver because I got a little bit of balance with the security net of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, T. Higgins, Jefferson. Like, we know what numbers they're going to get, and I'm starting to get a little bit more risky here. Who gives me a league-winning type feel down here? Treylon Burks, until they get their quarterback situation figured out, really doesn't do that for me, but Kadarius Toney does in a major way. When I look at quarterbacks, this guy was healthy and he was a top 5 quarterback throughout that process. And then he got hurt, continuous injuries. But Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback. If he is healthy, he's a guy he can put up massive games for your fantasy team.
Interesting as we go through. The auto pick got my man Jamal Williams 2 spots before I grabbed him. So now I got to adjust on the fly. But I will hop out of that and I'll come back over. And, now looking at situations, there we go. We do have a Detroit Lion right here. Jameson Williams. Let me tell you something.
Jameson, good pick. Good
You
pick,
are not going to get Jameson Williams at 9 and 10 on draft day. How would you value the Lions' young wide receiver?
I think you got to put him in that wide receiver 3 category. And to me, he has all the appeal of like a Christian Watson from last year. If they can get him the rock, he's going to be a big playmaker. He has a tremendous amount of weekly upside. He's a burner. And, I think J-Mo is one of those players that he could fail. He could fall right on his face. But he also has like league-winning potential if everything goes right.
Come back at it with another wide receiver. I'm going to take Chase Claypool, get that double rainbow with my quarterback and Justin Fields right there. So, listen, even
with Mooney and DJ Moore there?
Listen, it's not ideal. You know what I'm saying? It's not ideal,
right?
But listen, it could be some bye week action. I didn't really like anything else. I mean, I listen. This is my first draft. I'll be honest with you. Looking back at the board, I do see at least one player I probably would have made that selection over Claypool, but I might get him on the turn.
You might get him on the turn, man. So, and I
took that Tyler Algier right before you. That's a good pick right there too.
I'm not a big Tyler Algier guy.
Interesting. Why not?
But I am a believer in Deshaun Watson. I think he's gonna have a major bounce back performance. So give me Tua and Deshaun. I don't normally like taking 2 QBs, but rock solid either way here.
All right, and so there you go. So and then what you
gonna do? And then I got my second pick. My second pick, I'm thin at running back, so I'm gonna take a little bit of a reach here and pick up a guy that I think he has running back 2 ceiling in his realm of outcomes. Give me Kenneth Gainwell. It's a big reach, but I like Kenneth Gainwell here.
All right. Kenneth Gainwell, interesting. Move down these running backs.
Now, with Miles Sanders gone, I know they signed Rashad Penny. Do you think, because I'm on the board of Kenneth Gainwell, they used him a lot in the postseason last year in the red zone, in the passing game. You think Kenneth Gainwell can be a viable fantasy running back this season?
I like Gainwell. I think it's going to be tough. I think his ceiling is what Miles gave you, but I don't know. It's probably a play that I would stay away from. I think the Philadelphia Eagle offense could struggle to start off this season with the losses of those coordinators. That's kind of how I feel about it. Still want to investigate more during the offseason. I'm going to come back right here, and I'm going to grab running back Sam Piron in Denver now. And the reason why I'm going my man Sam Piron right here is, what is the latest on Javonte Williams? This guy is pretty banged up, isn't he?
He is, and we don't know how he's going to come back from the injury. We've heard talks of he could be out till December. There's been talks of that he's ready to go when the season starts. But either way, Samaje Perine has a big workload in store because Javonte Williams is not going to be ready this season. It'll be a part-time thing for most of his season either way.
And I was able to come back and get the wide receiver I was talking about earlier. That is KJ Osborne, Minnesota Viking wide receiver. Adam Thielen no longer in Minnesota. Osborne looked like a player that's going to step up and be their number 2 out there.
Not exciting. I'm not exciting at all. I'm not excited about KJ Osborne. The slightest not excited.
Well, good. And he's on that. You ain't got to worry about him. He's on my team. You don't have to be excited about him when I'm kicking your ass. You're going to wish you had him.
But then I'm going to go with another player. Let's see, at the running back position. Let's get a little bit more upside here at running back. If I could find some upside here. Let's not get upside. Let's just go with the player who I know is in a locked-in role, Jeff Wilson Jr., locked in there into the running back 4 position just in case injury happens. Guys, let us know what you think about it there in the comments. Corey, I want you to go over your team real quick. Tell me how you're feeling.
Feel pretty good about this, being the first shot right here. So, you go ahead and highlight that. Listen, Hill, Metcalf, Cooks, J-Mo, Claypool, Osborne. I think that's pretty strong. A wide receiver group with Tyreek Hill being the lead guy right here. Metcalf was slept on last year because of the quarterback situation, but we see that Geno Smith can get it done. Travis Etienne is going to be a game changer this year. Favorite pick of the draft. Trusting Evan Ingram again is going to be interesting. But I like the way it came out. Listen, we're still early in the process, but we can play this one out right here, and I'll finish higher than you.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. You be 4-9, struggling to make the playoffs. Look, when I look at this squad has everything you want to see. It has upside, it has reliability. Jefferson, T. Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson. Obviously that's the floor, and then we get the upside when you talk about Pitts, Rachaad White, James Cook, Kadarius Toney. Gotta love upside there. Now, I would say my quarterback.
Who's going to run the football?
Who in PPR leagues? I don't need runners. I need catchers of the football. People that can get points and give me
how many snaps? How many snaps is James Cook going to be on the field?
Doesn't matter. We saw him in limited work last year, put up 10, 15 points a game.
How many snaps is Rachaad White going to get?
How many snaps is
Gainwell going to get? You can have Sundays where all 3 of your running backs can be can maybe be on the field for 20 snaps.
No, there's no possible way. James Cook is going to be a big part of this offense. Gainwell's going to be a part of this offense. Jeff Wilson, we saw him last season have a good role with this team. And Rachaad White, I'm banking on Rachaad White. So there's a floor here. I'll give you that. There is a little bit of a floor here with this team risk-wise, but I like the upside, baby. I'm here to win championships, not be scared.
There you go.
All right, so guys, that's our mock draft. If you guys want to mock draft with us later on in the season, we're going to be doing some live mock drafts. We'll get some guys in the comments to come in and mock draft with us. But let us know your guys' thoughts. Who won the mock draft? We'll see you on the next one. Peace out.